Every single morning, hundreds of millions of people across the globe carry out the exact same ritual. They brew a cup of coffee, they consume it, and they proceed with their day without ever understanding that they're grasping one of the most potent health delivery systems that nature has ever produced. Coffee isn't merely a drink, it's a carrier. It's a vehicle that can deliver incredibly powerful, natural compounds straight into your bloodstream with impressive efficiency. And what most individuals don't realize is that by incorporating certain particular ingredients into your everyday coffee, you can convert a regular morning routine into something that actively bolsters your circulation, your energy, your vitality, and your overall performance, even deep into your 70s and further. This isn't hopeful speculation. This is published peer-reviewed science. And today, I'm going to guide you through precisely which additions to your coffee possess the strongest evidence supporting them, how they operate at the cellular level, and why the pairing with coffee specifically renders them far more effective than consuming them independently. I'm Dr. Sophia Carter, and if you're a man aiming to preserve your vitality while aging, or if you've already begun observing that things aren't functioning quite as they once did, this video could be one of the most crucial ones you view this year. So remain with me right through to the end, because I've reserved something genuinely special for the conclusion. Let's begin with the base. Let's discuss coffee itself and why it's such an outstanding foundation for these additions. Coffee holds over 1,000 bioactive compounds, and among them are some truly extraordinary molecules. The most famous, of course, is caffeine. But caffeine accomplishes much more than simply rousing you in the morning. Caffeine acts as a vasodilator at the peripheral level, meaning it assists in expanding the smaller blood vessels across your body, including those in the pelvic area. It accomplishes this by inhibiting adenosine receptors, which subsequently prompts the release of other signaling molecules that encourage blood vessel relaxation. This enhanced peripheral blood flow is one of the factors why you feel more alert and invigorated after coffee, but it also carries substantial implications for general vascular health and vitality. Beyond caffeine, coffee is exceptionally abundant in chlorogenic acids, which are polyphenolic antioxidants that have been proven to enhance endothelial function. Your endothelium is the slender lining within every blood vessel in your body, and it's the tissue accountable for generating nitric oxide, the primary molecule of blood flow. When your endothelium is healthy and operating effectively, it generates plentiful nitric oxide. Your blood vessels remain flexible and responsive, and blood circulates freely to every organ and tissue. When endothelial function diminishes, which occurs gradually with age, nitric oxide production decreases, blood vessels grow stiff, and circulation declines throughout the whole body. The chlorogenic acids in coffee have been shown in clinical studies to bolster endothelial health and boost nitric oxide availability. Coffee also includes trigonelline, a compound that has been researched for its neuroprotective and blood sugar regulating qualities. It includes caffeine and cafestol, which possess anti-inflammatory effects, and it supplies notable amounts of magnesium and potassium, two minerals vital for appropriate vascular function and muscle relaxation. All of these compounds establish a biochemical setting in your body that is already prepared for enhanced circulation and vitality. Now, envision intensifying these effects with targeted additions that operate synergistically with what coffee already offers. That's precisely what we're about to achieve. The first addition I want to introduce to you, and this is the one I regard as the most revolutionary, is raw cacao powder. Not cocoa powder, which has undergone heavy processing and been deprived of many beneficial compounds, but raw, unprocessed cacao powder. there is a significant distinction between the two, and comprehending that distinction is tremendously important. Raw cacao ranks as one of the most flavonol-rich foods on Earth. Flavonols are a subcategory of plant polyphenols that have been examined extensively for their impacts on cardiovascular function and blood flow. The particular flavonol in cacao, especially epicatechin, exerts a direct and quantifiable influence on nitric oxide production. Epicatechin activates the enzyme known as endothelial nitric oxide synthase, which is the enzyme within your blood vessel lining that actually produces nitric oxide. When this enzyme is stimulated, nitric oxide production rises, blood vessels relax and expand, and blood flow enhances across your entire circulatory system. The research on cacao flavonols and blood flow is solid and uniform. Numerous randomized controlled trials have illustrated that consistent consumption of cacao flavonols yields notable improvements in flow-mediated dilation, which is the premier standard for assessing how effectively your blood vessels react to heightened blood flow requirements. These enhancements have been noted in both younger adults and in older adults beyond the age of 70, which is especially pertinent to our conversation today. But here's what makes incorporating cacao into coffee so ingeniously effective. The caffeine in coffee and the flavonols in cacao function through complementary yet distinct pathways. Caffeine advances blood flow by obstructing adenosine and initiating vessel relaxation via neurochemical signaling. Cacao flavonols advance blood flow by directly stimulating nitric oxide production at the endothelial level. When you merge these two mechanisms in one beverage, you achieve a synergistic circulatory enhancement that neither component could accomplish alone. To incorporate raw cacao in your coffee, just mix 1 to 2 teaspoons of raw cacao powder into your brewed coffee. It mixes readily and imparts to your coffee a rich, profound, slightly chocolatey taste that most individuals find highly enjoyable. If you perceive the flavor as somewhat bitter, which raw cacao can be, you can include a modest amount of natural sweetener. But I'd urge you to sample it without sweetener initially because when paired with coffee's inherent flavor profile, many people discover the bitterness is actually agreeable and fulfilling. The second addition that I highly advocate is Ceylon cinnamon. And I want to be very precise about the type of cinnamon because this differentiation is vitally important. There are two typical types of cinnamon found in most stores. Cassia cinnamon, which is the less expensive and more commonly available variety, and Ceylon cinnamon, which is occasionally referred to as true cinnamon. For consistent daily use in your coffee, Ceylon cinnamon is the one you should choose because it has considerably lower levels of a compound called coumarin, which in substantial quantities can pose issues for the liver over time. Ceylon cinnamon delivers all the advantages without any worries regarding long-term daily consumption. Cinnamon includes a compound called cinnamaldehyde, which has been demonstrated to enhance blood flow through various mechanisms. Cinnamaldehyde encourages nitric oxide release, diminishes platelet aggregation, meaning it aids in preventing blood from growing overly thick and sluggish, and it exerts strong anti-inflammatory effects on blood vessel walls. When blood vessels are inflamed, their capacity to dilate and react to nitric oxide signals is impaired. By alleviating this vascular inflammation, cinnamon assists in restoring typical blood vessel responsiveness. But perhaps the most crucial benefit of cinnamon for men's vitality, especially as they age, is its extraordinary impact on blood sugar regulation and insulin sensitivity. Research has repeatedly indicated that cinnamon compounds improve how your cells react to insulin, which helps sustain stable blood sugar levels following meals. Why is this significant for blood flow and vitality? Because persistently high blood sugar and insulin resistance rank among the most harmful forces affecting your cardiovascular system. Excess blood sugar harms the endothelial lining of blood vessels, lowers nitric oxide production, fosters inflammation, and hastens the stiffening of arterial walls. By enhancing blood sugar regulation, cinnamon safeguards your vascular system from one of its most prevalent and subtle threats. Incorporating cinnamon into coffee is delightfully straightforward. Half a teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon mixed into your morning coffee delivers a therapeutic dose. It also introduces a warm, slightly sweet flavor that complements coffee wonderfully and may lessen your inclination to add sugar, which is an additional advantage on its own. The third addition is one that has been utilized in traditional medicine systems throughout Asia for thousands of years, and that's ginger. Fresh grated ginger or high-quality dried ginger powder can serve as a remarkable enhancement to your daily coffee, and the science backing its cardiovascular benefits is broad and persuasive. Ginger holds bioactive compounds called gingerols and shogaols, and these compounds exert powerful influences on circulation. Gingerols stimulate blood flow to peripheral tissues by advancing vasodilation and by generating a thermogenic effect, meaning they mildly elevate your body's internal heat production. This thermogenic reaction prompts blood vessels to dilate as the body strives to distribute heat, leading to improved circulation to extremities and to the pelvic region. Ginger is also one of nature's most potent anti-inflammatory agents. Chronic inflammation in blood vessel walls is one of the main causes why circulation worsens with age. Inflammatory compounds injure the endothelium, decrease its capacity to generate nitric oxide, and encourage the accumulation of arterial plaques that constrict blood vessels. The gingerols in ginger suppress the production of inflammatory prostaglandins and leukotrienes, helping to shield blood vessel walls from this persistent inflammatory attack. There's also intriguing research on ginger's influences on testosterone metabolism. Some studies have indicated that ginger compounds may bolster healthy testosterone levels by enhancing blood flow to reproductive tissues and by offering antioxidant protection to the cells engaged in hormone production. While this research is still developing, the initial findings are promising and align with ginger's extensive history of use as a male vitality tonic in traditional medicine systems. To incorporate ginger into your coffee, you can either grate a small segment of fresh ginger root straight into your brewed coffee and allow it to steep for a few minutes before straining, or you can add 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of high-quality dried ginger powder directly to your cup. The flavor is warming and mildly spicy, and it produces a chai-like quality in your coffee that many people find energizing and delightful. The fourth addition is something that may truly astonish you, and it's one of the most overlooked superfoods out there. I'm referring to maca root powder. Maca is a cruciferous root vegetable that grows solely in the high Andes Mountains of Peru at elevations above 13,000 feet. It has been cultivated and eaten by indigenous Peruvian communities for over 2,000 years, traditionally valued for its capacity to boost energy, stamina, and vitality. Modern research has validated what these traditional groups noticed. Multiple clinical trials have shown that maca supplementation is linked to enhancements in energy levels, physical endurance, and overall reported vitality. What makes maca especially fascinating for our discussion is the way it seems to operate. Unlike many other compounds supporting vitality, maca does not directly modify hormone levels in a manner that appears on standard blood tests. Instead, it seems to function by regulating the hypothalamic pituitary axis, which is the central control system that oversees hormonal balance across your entire body. By aiding the optimal operation of this control system, maca helps your body sustain its own natural hormonal equilibrium. Maca is also abundant in unique compounds called macamides and machenes, which are fatty acid derivatives not present in any other known plant. These compounds have been investigated for their effects on blood flow and have demonstrated the capability to support nitric oxide production and improve endothelial function. Combined with the nitric oxide enhancing effects of coffee's chlorogenic acids and cacao's flavonols, maca introduces yet another complementary pathway for circulatory support. The flavor of maca powder is malty, mildly sweet, and earthy, and it pairs unexpectedly well with coffee. 1 to 2 teaspoons of gelatinized maca powder stirred into your morning coffee blends smoothly without markedly changing the taste. I suggest gelatinized maca specifically because the gelatinization process eliminates the raw starch, making it simpler to digest and enabling the beneficial compounds to be absorbed more effectively. The fifth addition is collagen peptides. And before you reject this as something only pertinent to skincare, allow me to clarify why collagen is deeply relevant to blood flow and vascular health, particularly for men over 50. Your blood vessels are not inflexible tubes. They are dynamic, living structures made up largely of collagen and elastin. Collagen offers structural integrity, while elastin provides flexibility. As you age, both of these proteins naturally decrease in amount and quality. Your body generates less new collagen, and the existing collagen in your blood vessel walls becomes more cross-linked and rigid. This is one of the core reasons that blood pressure often rises and circulation tends to fall with age. Your blood vessels literally grow stiffer and less able to dilate in response to nitric oxide signals. Supplementing with hydrolyzed collagen peptides has been proven in research to aid the body's production of new collagen in blood vessel walls. A specific type of collagen peptide sourced from marine or bovine origins and hydrolyzed into small, easily absorbed fragments can supply the particular amino acids, especially glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, that your body requires as building blocks for vascular collagen synthesis. Clinical studies on collagen peptide supplementation have shown improvements in arterial stiffness measurements, reductions in blood pressure, and enhancements in overall vascular compliance, which is a gauge of how well your blood vessels expand and contract with each heartbeat. These vascular advantages seem to be especially evident in older adults, exactly the group that undergoes the most substantial decline in vascular collagen. Collagen peptides dissolve fully in hot coffee and are basically tasteless, making them one of the simplest additions to integrate into your morning routine. 1 to 2 scoops, usually delivering around 10 grams of collagen peptides, stirred into your coffee, adds no noticeable taste and dissolves in seconds. Now, let me reveal the bonus addition that I promised you at the start. And this one is genuinely extraordinary. It's ashwagandha root extract. Ashwagandha is categorized as an adaptogen, which means it assists your body in adapting to and recovering from different forms of stress. And stress, especially chronic stress, is one of the most ruinous forces impacting your circulatory system and your overall vitality. When you're under chronic stress, your body generates heightened levels of cortisol. Cortisol narrows blood vessels, elevates blood pressure, encourages inflammation, disrupts nitric oxide production, and interferes with the hormonal balance that sustains male vitality. Over time, chronic cortisol elevation basically speeds up vascular aging and weakens nearly every facet of circulatory health we've covered today. Ashwagandha has been demonstrated in multiple well-constructed clinical trials to markedly lower cortisol levels, enhance stress resilience, and support healthy hormonal balance. The active compounds in ashwagandha, called withanolides, seem to regulate the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is the system in charge of the stress response. By helping this system operate more efficiently, ashwagandha helps avert the chronic cortisol elevation that harms blood vessels and depletes vitality. Several studies have also particularly explored the effects of ashwagandha on male vitality markers, and the outcomes have been reliably impressive. Ashwagandha powder possesses an earthy, mildly bitter flavor that mixes well into coffee, particularly when paired with cacao and cinnamon, which assist in concealing the taste. A quarter to half a teaspoon of high quality ashwagandha root extract powder is a suitable daily starting quantity in your morning coffee. Now, let me clarify why merging all of these additions specifically in coffee is so much more potent than taking them separately as distinct supplements. Coffee supplies the caffeine that inhibits adenosine and encourages baseline vasodilation. It supplies chlorogenic acids that bolster endothelial function. And the hot water used to brew coffee serves as a solvent that helps dissolve and activate many of the compounds in these additions. When you add cacao, you're layering on direct nitric oxide stimulation through epicatechin. When you add cinnamon, you're safeguarding your blood vessels from inflammatory and blood sugar-related damage. Ginger contributes thermogenic vasodilation and additional anti-inflammatory protection. Maca bolsters hormonal balance and adds another nitric oxide pathway. Collagen supplies the structural building blocks your blood vessels require to stay flexible. And ashwagandha eliminates the cortisol driven constriction that undermines everything else. Each addition operates through a different mechanism, targeting a distinct aspect of circulatory health and vitality. Together, they form a comprehensive, multi layered support system that tackles blood flow from virtually every pertinent biological perspective. And because you're ingesting them all in a single daily ritual that you're already carrying out anyway, adherence is effortless. You don't have to recall taking 6 different supplements at various times of day. You just prepare your morning coffee as you always do, add your selected ingredients, and you're finished. I do want to provide a practical recommendation for those who are new to this method. You don't need to incorporate everything simultaneously. Begin with 1 or 2 additions that attract you the most, perhaps cacao and cinnamon, and get comfortable with those first. Over the subsequent weeks, you can progressively introduce more ingredients as you learn which combinations you enjoy the most and which ones yield the most evident effects for you individually. Everyone's body responds a bit differently, and part of the process is discovering the particular combination that suits your unique physiology best. Quality is enormously important with each of these ingredients. Raw cacao should be organic and minimally processed. Cinnamon should specifically be the Ceylon variety. Ginger should be fresh or recently dried from a reliable source. Maca should be gelatinized and sourced from Peru. Collagen peptides should be hydrolyzed and from a trusted manufacturer. And ashwagandha should be a standardized root extract with verified with analyte content. Investing in quality ingredients guarantees you're truly obtaining the therapeutic compounds you're paying for, rather than diluted or degraded versions that won't provide meaningful results. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who deserves to feel their best at any age. Subscribe for more evidence-based health content. I'm Dr. Sophia Carter, and I'll see you in the next.